Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning. Very happy to welcome Mary Ellen Akaza and Stephanie Cargill. They're from the Stark County District Library. Good morning.
Morning, Susie.
So big, exciting times. First of all, I called because I hear there's something happening in Jackson. What's going on?
Yes, Susie. Big things are happening at the Stark Library, and on August 18th, we opened our doors of the new Jackson Community Branch to the public. And as you know, there's been a lot of planning that's gone on this project, and after nearly 2 years, we're thrilled that the building is open.
It is really exciting. It's had kind of a funny history. Tell us what happened. Why did the old branch have to be torn down?
Okay. I was not here during that time period when all of the decisions were made about the past branch, but from what I understand, the building had a number of repairs that needed to be done, and when estimates were done on whether to repair the building or tear down the building, just the sheer cost of the repairs that were needed to rectify the building, they were just really, really expensive. So it did not make sense to try to repair that building.
That's what I understood, too, that it just makes more sense economically to build a new one. So where is this one located in relation to where the previous building was?
I believe it's almost in the same place as the previous building. It's in the park right across from the Jackson High School.
Mm-hmm. And there's a new amphitheater there as well, yes?
Oh, yes. It is gorgeous. You can see the amphitheater from our reading room windows, and it's a beautiful space, and you can't really tell where our property ends and their property begins. It's a very seamless transition between the spaces.
I have to tell you, I've only just kind of walked around there and looked that way, and I honestly thought it was all kind of one project. Are you going to do some things possibly together? Because it does. It just looks like the brand new library and amphitheater event venue.
So lots of people have said that, Susie, and it's very interesting because the designs of the building, although they were done at separate times, the designs look very, very similar, and it does look like it's just one seamless property. Mm. And the good news is that we're such good partners with Jackson Township, and we are planning to have programming there, and we've met to talk about what kinds of programming. Of course, right now we're not doing any physical programming. We're only doing virtual programming, but we're looking forward to a really long and successful relationship between Jackson Township and using those buildings seamlessly. You walk out of the patio, and you can see the amphitheater, and you can get there right from our patio.
It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It's got to be a little bit frustrating because you've got this exciting new place that you're ready to cut the ribbon and have everybody enjoy, and then we get hit by coronavirus, and so it's kind of put things on hold for a while. Talk to me about how you navigated all of that.
Well, Susie, one of the wonderful things about the design of the new Jackson Library is how flexible it all is. All of the furniture is on wheels, and even though we had to rethink and pivot really quickly with the coronavirus to think about how we would set up our spaces to accommodate social distancing, it was really easy in the new branch because the furniture, the bookcases, everything was meant to be moved around so that you could repurpose the space.
Take us through the doors, and if you would, give us some kind of a little audio tour of the brand new Jackson branch.
One of the really amazing things as we've started to open the doors to the branch is watching people walk through the doors for the first time. The space is so beautiful. It's spacious. The view of the park, the sky is just gorgeous. And we've kind of taken that to the next level. Our architects and designers have thought about that space and the way that people used it. If you think back several years ago, this was before both Mary Ellen and my time here at the library, but the HBM, our architects, engaged the community. We had community meetings. We talked to the community about what they wanted in the space, And those flexible options that Mary Ellen was talking about are one of the answers to the problems that the community had. You walk into the space, the first thing you'll notice is the space itself. And then you see the collection and how our librarians have put the collection out there, and it's so visually appealing. One of the wonderful things that we did was we reached out to the community a few months ago and asked them to give us some of their favorite literary quotes. We then met as a team and chose some of those quotes. So as you walk into the space, you'll see some wonderful literary quotes on the wall, and those were chosen by the community, and they really speak to this particular property and what it means to the community.
I love that you've really involved the community in putting this together. It wasn't just a committee that's going to speak for everybody else, but everyone really had a voice with this. Tell me some of the things that the community wanted. I can't imagine anyone even having the idea of, well, we want everything on wheels so you can move it around. I just can't even fathom that came up. Talk to me about what you learned from everyone.
I think one of the greatest things that we learned from the community, and this was prior to my arrival and Stephanie's arrival, but they held a great mind-breaking session in the spring of 2018. And the people in the community spoke a lot about wanting to have space, meeting space primarily, a place to gather in the community. And that's how the architects designed this building, so that there are a number of study rooms available for tutors or small groups to gather and study. And the meeting room space is quite large in this building as well, Susie. There's a large meeting room where you can have a big gathering once we're able to have mass gatherings, or it can be divided into two separate rooms. And one of the other things we learned from the temporary storefront location is people really wanted access to the latest technology. So this new building is outfitted with a lot of technology for the patrons to use. There are PCs for people. There will be laptops. There's self-checkout machines. We're going to have the 24/7 lobby with hold lockers available for pickup. And the meeting rooms and the study rooms, they all have technology to project from your laptop onto a big screen so that there can be a lot of collaboration amongst groups.
One of the things that has come about because of this COVID experience is so many people are working from home, and a lot of companies and organizations are figuring out that may go forward now because it seems to be working out pretty well for them. But where do you go for a boardroom? Where do you go when you need to project something? It almost sounds like you're sort of an extended home office now. Would you say that's accurate?
I would say that is accurate, and that is one of our intentions and goals for how the space will be used. But given the current pandemic, we're not allowing any rentals of the meeting rooms at this time. But in the future, I think the space is very well designed to accommodate groups. Even individuals working from home.
It just sounds awesome. One of the things that first occurred to me when we went into, the whole quarantine time was, how do libraries open back up? Because it's such a tactile place. I can't imagine sterilizing all the books. And what did you have to do? Tell me about your reality. I can't imagine.
It's been a long journey, Susie.
I hate to bring up a sore subject, but that had to be hard.
Yes. Go ahead, Stephanie.
In the beginning, it felt like things changed not just daily but hourly. And keeping up with what the recommendations from the CDC and the WHO and our governor it made our heads spin at times. I think that as we were a little bit more cautious in our opening schedule than maybe some of our patrons wanted us to be, but we really were taking those things into consideration that would keep both our staff and our patrons safe. So we are requiring masks for patrons, both patrons and staff, as they come in. We've installed acrylic barriers like many retail locations have, and signage to help direct patrons to navigate this new world, because it's new and different for all of us.
The library's had to reinvent itself anyway. The library is not the same kind of a place than it was even 5 or 10 years ago, you're constantly reinventing yourself. So I would imagine this put that on steroids, yes?
It really has, Susie. I mean, it's made us all reconsider. You were talking earlier about businesses and having people work from home. And it's made us all reconsider kind of our whole paradigm. How do we provide service? In the beginning, our digital usage doubled and in some cases tripled in some of our properties. And as we've reopened, we did a library to-go service, which we're still offering, where patrons who want to place their items on hold can pick them up by appointment. Many patrons are still opting for that service so that they can feel a little bit safe. And as we've reopened, it just has really changed how we think about providing service. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Your lobby is a really cool thing that kind of came about. I believe you started it over when you were using the storefront for the Jackson Library temporarily. That neat lobby where you go in and you can self-check out some things almost from vending machines almost. Is that a terrible way to describe it? But tell me a little bit about that, because I think you've taken that with you here, yes?
Yes. So in the new Jackson building, there will be the holds lockers. So someone could place a hold on an item in our catalog and then request pickup for it at that at the hold lockers location. So then they're able to go pick up the materials when it's convenient for them, because, as you know, people work all different kinds of shifts, and our hours might not work for their schedule, but with 24/7 access, it really opens that up. At the storefront, we did have kind of like a candy machine for books. At this time, we're not planning to offer that at the new location. The technology isn't quite where we would like it to be as user-friendly for this new location, but we continue to look to see how we can offer more services like that in a convenient way. It just has to work really well.
But you have self-checkout, which I think is amazing, where we don't have to get a library degree to be able to learn how to do this. You kind of show us one time and it makes sense. And tell me a little bit about that.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. I think this is the coolest technology. All you have to do is scan your library card and just place the books on the RFID pad, and the computer reads the RFID tags and will check them all out to you. Previously, you had to do all of them individually by barcode. So this is a wonderful technology that really makes it easy to do multiple items at once.
Yes, it's not like the grocery store where you're looking for that barcode and trying to put it in the right place and make the thing ding. You just pile them on a pile. And how does it do? How does it know? Help me understand. How does it know? Or is it just magic?
It's the RFID technology is run by radio frequency, and Susie, it really is just magic. I mean, you watch it, you put it on the desk, and it tells you everything that's in the pile.
Wow, yes, and then you're on your way. It's amazing. We're speaking with Mary Ellen Acaza and Stephanie Cargill. Stephanie, you are the communications person. Please tell me your right title.
Communications director.
Okay, there we go. I wasn't too far off. Mary Ellen, you are the head honcho. Tell me your title.
I'm the CEO and executive director.
And you both have been there relatively a short amount of time. Mary Ellen, when did you join?
So I moved here in July of 2018, so it's just 2 years.
Wow. And how about you, Stephanie?
And I joined just before Mary Ellen, so in the beginning of June in 2018.
And neither one of you knew what you were signing up for 2020. I know. None of us did. We are going to take a short break. We are visiting with Mary Ellen Acaza and Stephanie Cargill from the Stark County District Library. We'll be back after these words. You're listening to Our Community. Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas visiting with the gals from the Stark County Library, Mary Ellen Acaza and Stephanie Cargill. And what were you planning? What would the opening of the Jackson branch have looked like? I'm sure you had some really cool things planned.
Oh, we did. We did, Susie. We had big plans to have a huge community celebration in May of this year. We were looking forward to having an event that could be held both outside and indoors and invite the whole community to come and celebrate this. There's nothing better than the grand opening of a library
Right.
for a community. So our opening this summer, it didn't really look like we planned, but I'm just so grateful that we were able to open the building for the public.
Well, as of the 18th, can we just come over now and sort of introduce ourselves individually to it? What do you suggest is the best way to get acquainted with the new location?
So we are definitely open to serve the public. However, given the pandemic, we have to observe social distancing. So we do have several protocols in place to keep everybody, staff and patrons, as safe as possible. We have a limit on the capacity of people that are allowed to be in the building at any one time. And Stephanie, you'll have to tell me how many people it is. I'm blanking on the number.
Yeah, in the Jackson branch, we have a limit of 15 people at a time, and then that includes staff.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that, Susie, is so that people can keep a good distance. We're also limiting visits to 1 hour per day per person, and that way as many people that can get in the door can. So although we would love for the place to be the community living room where people can just sit all day because they'd love to do that, right now we want to encourage more people to visit. So we have a few restrictions in place for that.
Well, that day is coming. There will be a time when it's the community living room. But in the meantime, do you recommend we call ahead and almost make a reservation? Or how are you doing the spacing apart?
One of the technologies, Susie, that we talked about, the magic RFID technology. Another magic technology that we have is we have door counters at all of our doors, and that tracks how many people are in the building. We'll have a greeter in the lobby, and that greeter kind of tracks. She looks at the wall and says, oh, we have 10 people in the building. We're allowed to have 5 more. So she'll welcome people in and talk about our safety protocols. So no need to make an appointment. You can just come on over, but please know that if the building is full, which it is going to be, you may have to wait for a few minutes.
You can go enjoy the amphitheater or walk around the park. There's plenty to do over there. I'm assuming that the other branches all have similar protocols for folks who another branch is closer to their home. What do you recommend? Same?
That's correct, Susie. Same thing. Each branch has a different capacity based on their size, how many staff members, how many computers they have for people to use. But it's very easy. You just walk up and the staff member will graciously introduce you to everything you need to know for that visit.
One of the wonderful things about our library are the amazing free programs that you put on, and I'm sure that so many of those have had to be changed or canceled. Are you using technology to do some kind of programming? What kind of immediate programming do you still have in the works?
We have moved almost all of our programming to a virtual platform, and our team has done a really fantastic job, I believe, in rethinking how we offer programming and making use of the technology that's available to us. In the spring, we started doing story times via Facebook. Since that time, we've added programs on Reader's Advisory, so you can write in and tell us about a few authors you like, and you can get recommendations for new books to read. And we did have a very well-attended author program in July. So we are continuing to try to connect with our patrons and create a digital community. And we'll be adding on more programs later this summer and fall. But you're right, it does not look anything like the programming that we've done in the past. And we really miss having programs in our buildings, and we look forward to when we can do in-person programming again.
Mm-hmm. Glass half full, though, this kind of makes your programming available to more people than would have been able to attend, because we might have relatives or friends in other states that would be interested in something. We say, hey, tune into this. Is that possible?
It is, Susie. And as a matter of fact, the author event that Mary Ellen was talking about, we had some out-of-state people who attended that event. So it was really wonderful.
That's very cool. And then that gets your name sort of out there even more beyond, like, wow, something is really happening in Stark County. Talk to me about your relationship with the schools. I know everything right now, on the day that we're recording this, schools are pretty much decided about how they're going to open up, and everyone is different. And I know there's such a tight relationship between our library and the schools. How is that working?
Well, that relationship still remains very strong. We work collaboratively with all of the school districts we serve. However, it looks different than what
Right.
we used to have our kidmobiles visiting schools on a daily basis, and the students would get on the bookmobiles and attend a program and borrow books. We are still supporting schools. We're going to be delivering our teacher lit kits for them to use in their lesson plans. We are still supporting schools with technology. Last spring, we lent a number of hotspots to students and families who did not have internet access so that the kids could get online to attend class. And we are continuing to look for new ways to provide services to the schools, as always.
Are some of the things that are more hands-on, like the Make It times and the computer training for senior citizens, are those on hold, or is any of that taking place?
The computer classes in person are on hold, but we are trying to move some of them to an online format. One of our technology trainers has already been offering some maker-type classes, how to sew a pillowcase, how to sew a table runner, how to download a book from the library, and she's continually adding more videos to that. So we are hoping to reach that audience via the virtual platforms. Right now, the makerspace is closed at the main library, but we are exploring how we might deliver those services by appointment. So instead of having a drop-in time for people just to wander in and use the equipment, we're looking to see if we can offer it via a scheduled appointment.
So all is not lost. We might still be able to do some 3D printing if we make an appointment and just call ahead, yes? Or you'll let us know. I'm guessing we need to be checking your website, and I'll bet your website is as busy as can be. As far as knowing what's happening when, is that correct? Will everything be up there?
Our website is a great place to look, Susie. You can also check out our Facebook page.
Great.
And we try to keep it as up to date as we can with all the changing environment that's happening.
Usually this time of year, you're getting ready to announce what, speaking of books and what your next author series, are you still making plans along those lines, even if they end up looking differently again and being online or being almost like a Zoom meeting? Are you still looking ahead and deciding who's going to be coming in?
Absolutely.
We are exploring those options, Susie. Go ahead, Mary Ellen.
Oh, I was just going to say, I can't give out details, names of authors for the Speaking of Book series, but we do have a committee of volunteers that are actively working on our One Book, One Community for the fall. We've not selected a book title yet, but we're hoping to have a robust schedule of programming amongst the partners around one book title and theme.
Well, honestly, if you're not going anywhere and you're still kind of self-quarantining at home, what better activity to participate than One Book, One Community? I would think that people are less busy right now. The pace is a little nicer, and we've got more time to read. Are you getting those kinds of feedback as well?
We certainly are getting lots of feedback from people that they missed going to the library in the spring and early summer. And our library to go locations have been really, really busy with people wanting to borrow books and picking up curbside or at the drive-thru. What we hear most of all is that people just miss the experience of being in the library and browsing for books. So, it's a very tactile thing when you're looking for a new book to read. So, yes, I would definitely agree with you that, people are really still into reading.
Really into reading. And I don't know, do you have any idea of how to compare who's reading Kindle on their own phone or their iPad or whatever, and who is holding a book? Because you provide both of those, yes?
We do, and it's hard to know how many are actually holding that Kindle, but we can say that during the time when the library was closed and people could not access those physical books, our digital access just exploded.
Yeah. Oh, I'll bet. What are you seeing in trends as far as reading material? What's big right now?
I think during our closure, we were seeing a lot of fiction being read. People were downloading a lot of fiction, I think because it truly represented escapism, right, from the current realities. And I also know that now that we are open and we're seeing people wander into our branches, all of those bestseller type books that people weren't able to access for several months, those are all hot items that people want to read. You know, the books that are always popular are the ones that people are reading about in the media, in the newspaper, or hearing about online from friends. So those are the ones that really do circulate very well, the newly published materials.
How about video rentals? Is that still as popular? And video game rentals, is that still as popular? Because, again, that would be, I would think, a lot of sanitizing in between little hands that touch them.
We haven't talked about this yet, but one of the things that we are doing from a safety perspective is that we are quarantining items as they're returned to the library for 4 days. And that's the recommendation that we've had right now, and that's something that has changed as this pandemic has continued on. But right now, any item that's returned to the library is quarantined for 4 days before a staff member touches it and it's put back on the shelf. But videos, as you can imagine, are hot items. We haven't talked about our Hoopla services, and Hoopla is streaming TV, movies, and that service also exploded during the months of March, April, May, and June.
I think I need to know more about those. I don't know enough even to ask an intelligent question, so tell me about Hoopla.
Hoopla is a streaming service that you can get free with your library card. And there's a limit of, I think it's 10 items per month, Mary Ellen. Is that correct? I wonder if we lost Mary Ellen.
I don't think we hear Mary Ellen. Okay.
Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Talking about Hoopla and the streaming service, how many items per month are you allowed to not rent, but borrow?
I believe Stephanie's correct. I think you get 10 downloads a month.
Ooh, that sounds awesome. All right. And again, can we find out more about all of this on starklibrary.com? starklibrary.org.
.org. And that would be /Hoopla.
starklibrary.org/Hoopla. Save yourself a ton of money from all the other streaming services that are out there.
And other things that people don't realize, Susie, when we were at the grand opening private VIP tours that we did, one of our board members was looking at our digital signage, which promotes some of the things that we offer, hopefully that will let people know some things they might not have known. And one of the things we talked about was magazines, e-magazines. Did you know that you can get the New Yorker for free from the library?
Oh, my goodness. No, did not know that.
He said to me, I pay a fortune for that every year. And I said, well, you don't need to.
That's right. I say this every time I talk to you. Check the library first. Before you spend a dime on anything, check out the library first. Again, go to starklibrary.org. Find out everything. We don't know what we don't know. Find out what you don't know right there. And Mary Ellen Icaza and Stephanie Cargill, thank you so much for all you do in our community.
Oh, thank you,
Susie.